As we know, Cricut is finally allowing us to print and cut on larger sizes. If you don't know, go ahead and check in my channel. I did make a video about it and showed you how to do it with glitter HTV. So I got this bright idea because generally I don't print from Design Space, even, if I'm doing a print and cut sublimation design. So I wanted to see what the difference in color is and, just kind of compare it to my prints from Photoshop where I have a little bit more control over the color and the color profile. So today we are going to be testing out 2 tumblers, one printed from Design Space and one printed from Photoshop, but both cut with the Cricut machine. But before we get started, go ahead and smash the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so you never miss another tutorial from me. Starting in a blank canvas, the first thing I'm going to do is grab a square, and this is going to be the outline for the cut for the skinny tumbler. I want to set the sizes to 9.4 by 8.3, and because I did the size backwards, I am going to just flip mine on the side. Now I am going to go into images and I'm going to find an image that is going to work for my tumbler. So just click on images and you can type something into the search, or you can scroll through all of the images that are in Cricut Design Space. I tried a couple different searches to find an image I thought would work with this tumbler. So I ended up landing on this giraffe print. So what I'm going to do is size it down to make sure it fits my square. And now I am going to duplicate and bring all of the edges together. I couldn't find an easy way to do this in Cricut Design Space as far as putting the tops and bottoms together. So I just blew it up and kept scooting them together and then welding to see if that line disappears. So it does take a little bit of work because you can't really see where it is overlapping or where it is touching because of the cut lines. So just continue to do that until you have your entire design together. So once your design is long enough to reach the entire square, we need to cut it back down to make sure that it is the exact dimensions that we need. So to do that, what I did was duplicated the square, and I'm gonna select the layer labeled Weld Results in that top square. I want to align everything to center and then click on Slice. And what that is going to do is leave us with a design that is exactly the shape and size that we need. You can delete everything else. So now I'm going to change the background color. So I changed that to the color that I wanted, and then I am going to realign everything. Once I've realigned everything, I'm going to click on Flatten. And what clicking on Flatten does is changes it into a print design. Now the last step here is adding some text or a name, and I am just going to type out my name and put my name on both tumblers. Once I've typed my name out, I am going to find a font that I like. The one that I chose is a Cricut font. It is BFC Boyfriend Jeans. The last thing I'm going to do is resize it and recolor it, and then apply an offset so that the text is easier to see on the tumbler. You see me here playing with the colors a little bit just to see what I like better. After you've made all of your adjustments and realigned and you're happy with the color, make sure to select everything once again and click on Flatten. Now that I have everything adjusted and colors are the way I want them and I have the size, I am going to go ahead and click on Make It. And like I talked about in the beginning of the video, I want to make 2 copies of this. One copy I'm going to print directly from Cricut Design Space, and the other copy I am going to print from Photoshop. So I'm going to go over here and adjust my paper. I have the tabloid size paper. I adjusted it to 11 by 17, and then you want to go ahead and mirror it because we are using sublimation print. You want it to print backwards so that it shows the correct way on the tumbler. Go ahead and click on continue. Our first copy we want to send to our computer. So the way you save a document to your printer from Cricut Design Space is go ahead and click on Send to Printer and then use System Dialog. Click on Print. Your System Dialog is going to open up, and we're going to ignore these settings and go down here to where it says PDF. And we want to save as PDF, and we're going to give it a name. Choose where you want it to save, and I'm gonna name it here also, and then go ahead and click on save. So that saved it to our computer. Now we want to go back up here to print and send to printer, and I'm gonna make sure that my sublimation printer is selected, and I'm still going to use my system dialog box. Click on print. Make sure that the paper size selected is correct. I like to leave these on auto, and then I'm gonna move this slider to best and then click on print. So that one is printing. We're gonna move over to Photoshop and prepare the second print. So now we're going to open that file in Photoshop. So the file is here, and I'm gonna right click it, go to open with, and then go down to Photoshop. Here is the file, and it has all the information that we need in here. Click on OK, and there's the file for us. So it only, because it is a PDF, it's only showing us where there's actually design elements. So we're in Photoshop, it is where it needs to be. So I'm gonna go up here to File, click on Print. I like to move the image to basically where it was on Cricut Design Space. It just seems to cut a little bit better that way. You're gonna go ahead and check all of your print settings, make sure that your paper size is correct. Mine is. I like to leave these on auto and best quality print. Click on save, go ahead and print out your image, and let's see how they look. I have my prints printed out. This one is the Photoshop one, and the more faded looking one is the one from Cricut Design Space. You're going to need a Cricut machine, your prints, heat tape, a lint roller, a tumbler press, and your tumblers. You can see here that they both printed very differently. The more faded one is directly from Cricut Design Space, and the one that is not faded is the one that I printed from Photoshop. But if you've done sublimation before, then you also know that the way that they print out sometimes doesn't matter at all. The ink is activated by heat, so it can print out looking faded, but it'd be perfectly fine once you press it on. Let's go ahead and get these cut out. We have everything printed out now, and we are going to go ahead and get these wrapped. You can see them a little bit better how differently they printed out. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the one from Cricut Design Space first. I just take my lint roller and roll it over the tumbler to get off any dust and debris. If you don't have a lint roller, you can use alcohol or acetone. Just make sure that you allow it to dry completely before you try to press it. Wrap the paper around your tumbler as tight as you can, and I usually tape the middle and then tape both edges. I like to get the bottom and top folded over a little bit just so that there's no white space showing at the top or bottom. I'm going to press each of these tumblers in my PYD Life tumbler press at 400 degrees for 60 seconds. Then I am going to turn it and press for another 60 seconds. Make sure you're using some type of heat protectant glove when you're handling the tumblers and the inside of the tumbler press, because it does get super hot. I like to peel my tumblers hot, but you can allow them to cool before you peel off the heat tape and paper. The print from Photoshop definitely produces a much better print quality. I think in person the colors look a little bit more clear and they're definitely more vibrant. So if you were wondering why when you use sublimation and print from Cricut Design Space your colors are a little bit muted, try printing from Photoshop. You can see from the video and from the prints that the print color was off, even though they printed both from the same printer. And that is just because you have a color profile in Photoshop that is meant specifically for your sublimation printer. So although the colors from Design Space are okay, they're not exactly what we wanted. This one is what we wanted. This is the one from Photoshop, and this is the one from Cricut Design Space. It's just a little lighter in color, a little bit more washed out. If you love this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button and drop me a comment below. See you next time.